start with round 3. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad you're here tonight.
I like that. Tell me for the next one.
And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Gary Berman. Please call me Gary. Okay? Now, what we did 3 weeks ago, we started with an idea. We're going to start building for tonight. Tonight, I think this will be very interesting with the results we're going to be going to. 3 weeks ago, we called this what? What is this? Antenna. Okay, every antenna, by the second law of antenna theory, every antenna transmits and receives information. So this spine of ours is transmitting and receiving information all the time. Now, what's the information? Knowledge. It's knowledge. Knowledge about what? Knowledge about everything you've ever wanted to know. Come on, James. Knowledge about everything in the past, questions about the present, and certainly going into the future. This antenna is designed to bring information to you all the time. All the time. Okay? Now, we said that every antenna is powered by something. In our case, the antenna is powered by 3 different items. We have our brain, which is sending out logical information. We have our heart, which is sending out emotional information. This is our humanness, the brain and heart. Then we have a third area, it's about an inch below the navel, which is our spirit. Okay, our spirit is what's connected to God. It's the intermediary between whatever we call God and ourselves. And it's the spirit that has all the information about our purpose, plan, and destiny. Now, the spirit is what's trying to give us information all the time to keep us on the straight and narrow. And the problem is, brain and heart may or may not be in agreement with that. Okay. So, we also said that the magnitude of the problems, we also said the problems that we're having, and I don't care what the problems are.
Get my foot out of the way.
They're financial issues, I don't care if they're about, I don't care if they're about health issues, I don't care what the problems are that we're facing. Spirit is always attempting to give us the answers to those problems. It's always trying to keep us on the straight and narrow, as I said. But then brain and heart will probably most likely give us other answers. And the magnitude of the difficulties that you're facing, confusions, the questions, the uncertainties that you're having right now, the size of that magnitude depends upon how well brain, heart, and spirit are working together. If they're working together well, you're probably living a life where you're happy in most cases. And if they're not working well together, then we probably have problems. Remember, we said those things the first week, right? And we also came up, we also came up with about 18 different ideas as to how we can start changing our belief systems. Because this whole class is about changing our belief systems. And you remember what we came up with out of the 18 items, the first one that came up? Well, gratitude, prayer. Prayer was first, okay? Second was love, which is an expression of gratitude. Okay, so those 2 ideas came up from the first week about how do we change our thinking process. So we're asking basically, how do we change this antenna system to transmit and receive the information that we want? Kathleen, come on. Okay? So does this make sense? Okay. All right. Second week, we came up with other ideas as to what was going on. And let's go to the second week. I told you that in the process of helping one of my patients who had a very serious health issue, come on in, Dan, come on in, had a very serious health issue, we came up with about 18 different ideas as to how to help this person. Now, she's on the other end of the phone, and I asked her to number the ideas, 1 through 18. I scanned through her, and the first one that comes up, the first item out of 18 items, only one of the items was about our mental, emotional, and spiritual beliefs. The other 17 were about biochemical issues. And out of all those 18, the first one that comes up is mental, emotional, and spiritual issues. Now, this is the most difficult area. Right? This is the most difficult area that any doctor has to face, about trying to help someone dealing with issues like things that we can't see, taste, or feel. Okay? So I asked her spirit, how can I possibly help this person? So remember what happened last week. Her spirit gave me images. And your spirit will talk to you in images also. So it gave me the image of a vertical line, and it said spirit on one side, brain and heart on the other side. Now I asked last week what was wrong with this picture with this vertical line and these two items, what was wrong with that picture. What did we say?
They're divided.
They were divided. That's right. So immediately her spirit was telling me and her that there was a disconnect between what her spirit wants and what her brain and heart is telling her. Very sure. Right. Okay. Now, the next question is, well, how do we make this connected, obviously? So, I don't have the answers, but her spirit does. So I asked her spirit, okay, give me the second part to the answer. Well, the second part to the answer were these cross marks coming through, where you can see spirit on one side, brain and heart on the opposite side. Okay, and remember what we said this was? Okay. Remember what we said what this was? Vortexes. Right. These are areas, if we look at the universe, we want to go from one dimension to another in the universe, one universe to another, and do it quickly, we have to go through areas of least resistance, where time and space don't obey the common laws. Well, vortexes do that. And what was happening was she was showing me that there are ways that this could cross over, spirit could actually cross over into the brain and heart area of her body and start changing the programs. Now remember what we said, how this happened? Because the third way, the third answer I got from her spirit was, we had to do what? What did we have to do? Permission. We had to get permission. So when we give permission, there are a few seats up here. When we give permission, then spirit is allowed to cross over into brain and heart area and start making changes. Now we did that last week. That takes us up to the first 2 weeks. Now I'm curious, from the people that were here last week that allowed this process to happen, any comments about what happened to you during these last 7 days using this technique? Any comments?
Calmer.
Sorry, calmer? And meaning what? What was the difference?
It's just different.
Okay, just more relaxed?
More relaxed. Things that were just, they're bad, you don't need to get
Now,
invested in them, I guess is the
Thank you.
right word.
now, was it this way all through the week, or were there periods where things were uncalm? Like you went through some type of purging? I'm curious.
It was good until today.
Okay.
Exactly.
She was excited about coming to class today. Very good, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Please share.
Well, after last week, then I gave permission for this to happen, and about day 2 or 3, I started waking up every 2 hours, dry mouth, my typical detox feelings,
Okay.
and I changed nothing else about my routine. I changed my supplements, I'd get the same amount of sleep. The only thing I changed was that,
Okay. Okay.
and it hasn't gotten better yet either. It's been about 3 or 4 days.
All right. Very good. And so it's bringing up, are you recognizing what it's changing inside? What is the messages it's trying to give you as it's doing this?
I haven't had a chance to concentrate on it.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Kim, you had your hand up.
I did it for all week since the class,
Okay.
and a lot of stuff going on, because I've been forgetting to cleanse, so I was doing that too. And it all felt a little bit better, but this morning it was a 180-degree turnaround. And I know-
Meaning,
very positive, good solutions to some issues, good
Okay.
forgiveness to me of like, that was out of your, yeah, that's done, go on.
okay.
Just the kind of attitude I need to get through the day.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Please.
Well, I've had more vivid dreams,
Okay.
and that's unusual for me. And I've had more synchronicities, like I had a discussion with someone, and like I finished that discussion, and within a minute, something pops up about exactly the same product, the same exact thing.
I like that.
Yeah, same thing, clarity and coincidences like that,
Okay.
but also interrupted sleep.
Interesting. Anyone else?
I had a physical problem, severe shingle, and it's interesting because it happened the same time last March, which I think is, and I'm just taking it as I'm releasing something.
Okay.
I don't know how else to take it.
Okay. All right. Last Thursday, you said that you were upset from this. I'm curious. Over the week, did anything change to improve?
Yeah, it did. This week I was traveling Monday and Tuesday and woke up in the middle of the night again and did this technique to make sure to consciously spirit to the brain and heart. And within 20 seconds after I did it, this big flash went off in my mind, and it's kind of like, that's the answer I've been looking for. It's right there in front of me.
Very good.
And I ended up staying up the rest of the night working on that answer. I had the momentum, but as I was telling Sharon, it's been struggling with just big flash.
Okay.
Are you supposed to be repeating that? I thought allowing it was a one-time deal, and it's gonna work 24/7, 365.
Right.
I don't mean to-
There are some things we have to clarify. Thank you. Thank you. Karen, you have?
I was just gonna say, I had a lot of the same synchronicities, a lot of things opened up at work, contacts with people that hadn't thought about, you know, the regular, you think about it and then they call you, it's like all that kind of stuff going on, and, all sorts of great things, but and then the other part is I also noticed just how much negative thinking I have, because those old stories would come up and I'm like, stop, and if I'm not working, all I'm hearing is all that noise, because my brain is still doing it, and it's still fighting this, and I'm more aware of it now.
Okay. So everything that people have been saying is verifying what we've been saying for years, and that is that brain and heart have their own agenda, which may or may not be in alignment with your spirit. But whatever's happening right now, there are statements, stories, whatever you want to call them, ideas, in these two areas that are trying to cause conflicts for their betterment. And in every area of our life, or at least in some parts of our life, every one of us, especially for the big ticket items that we want, whatever that means to you, we generally have something that's trying to stop us or cause resistance. Now, this simple technique of giving allowance to spirit to enter into brain and heart and do whatever it's supposed to do is incredibly powerful. When I did it for myself, I started 9 days ago. It took about 6 days for it to cross from started on my right side and went from the right side and crossed over to my left. And during that time, I had incredible peace. Now that last Sunday, I asked myself, am I finished with that program? I said, yes. I asked my spirit that. So then I said, am I done? My spirit goes, no, you're not. You're not done. So I said, all right, what do you want me to do? Well, I said, go back. Go back and understand spirit better. So we're going to go back and understand spirit better. Okay. So when I asked my spirit, what are you trying to tell me about the concept of spirit? It took me back to a fundamental concept, the Trinity. Now, I don't care what faith you belong to or what you believe about God. That's up to you. But if we go back into conventional Christianity, we talk about God, Jesus Christ. We talk about Holy Spirit, the Trinity. Now, Jack, you were telling me that you have a Trinity too. Mm-hmm. And what's your Trinity?
I'm a Buddhist, though. It's the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, the Holy Sages. So those are the three.
Okay. And you'll find that every religion of this earth has a triad, a Trinity. Everyone does. So it forced me into using the Trinity. It also said to use angels and any other angelic beings, whatever they are, to now do the same thing, cross this boundary and go into brain and heart. So I started that on Sunday. By Monday morning, for the next 3 days, I was living in terror. Terror. Remember I told you that I chose fear when I was born. I chose fear. And for those of you who haven't been here before, I believe we choose one of two emotions, negative emotions, by the time we're born. Yes, we do have love. Yes, we do have joy. We have all those. But every person here has either chosen anger or fear. I chose fear. And every fearful thought I've ever had, even thoughts over 50 years ago, have come back to me for those 3 days. I couldn't believe it. No matter what I did, no matter what I said, it was just purging. It was just purging. And then, yesterday, it all stopped. It all stopped. Okay? And now it's quiet again. I'm not done. I'm about 80% of the way through the program.
So does that mean that if your first negative emotion was anger, that we should experience a period of anger?
Possibly.
watch out.
Very possible.
So is that all the negative thoughts that are angry thoughts about, angry about this, that, and the other thing that are coming up, because it's like this onslaught that I couldn't stop?
That's correct. That's correct. And let me put this all back into perspective also, because I think we need to hear this. The patient whose spirit gave me this idea in the first place, I went back to her spirit because she has a very serious health issue. And I asked her spirit, how many statements does she have on this side that are attempting to create physical harm and maybe even death? Okay, it was over 3 million. Over 3 million statements. I've actually had a person in here since then in my office who was so sick physically, she had over 80 million statements trying to harm her. Now I have over 15 million trying to stop me. Over 15 million. Okay. So I'm just trying to say this is not easy stuff. If it was, we would have solved this by now. Where do they come from, these millions of statements? Past lives, genetic information, people, places, and things around us. Hey, better ideas, tell me, I don't care. But it's there, and we all have it. Okay. Now, I was also told that before I cross over, I may do 50, maybe 48 more of these programs before I'm completely finished. Okay. I'm not sure about you, but I'm just telling you what's coming up with me. So this is a wild ride once we started this. Now, I keep asking, like, how do we amplify this concept? Because it is so simple, and it works so effectively. And everyone can do it. How do we amplify this? I spent the last week, coming up to this week now, asking, like, what do we do? What can we do that's simple, effective? I've checked every idea I can think of, but there is one thing that does come up consistently. You know what that is? This is energy. Remember what we've said. We've said in every time we have a problem, every time we have an issue or we're looking for a solution, there's always two elements that we have to deal with. We have to deal with the physical. Fundamentals, diet, water, exercise, sleep, supplements, other things that are physical. There's also an energetic proposition we have to deal with. Here's the energy. Okay, where's the physical? Well, the physical in this case comes up to a category that I call drainage and detoxification. Physical drainage and detoxification. Well, I thought, that sounds great. That must mean liver, gallbladder, colon, kidneys, skin, lungs. No, it's none of those. All of these things, you cannot assume anything when you start dealing with spirit. If you assume anything, you're going to be wrong, I'll tell you. I'll just tell you this right now. So page upon page upon page. And then I said, okay, show me the answers. So then it shows me spleen and pancreas as the answers. Spleen and pancreas. Now, this is very interesting. This is very interesting because I told you 3 weeks ago, I'm making a paradigm shift in everything I'm doing. Before, I would just get a person's name. I would start scanning them from their name so that when they'd come into the office, I would tell them everything I could about them from a library of information that I had. That's a good idea, but I'm always starting from scratch. I'm always starting from zero. So my spirit told me that I need to start using other things. So what we're currently doing right now, we're going into the acupuncture meridian system. Okay? And we're going to be using a very specific type of equipment that's used in the hospitals in Japan and China, and even in this country. It's called a MEAD 100. Now, the gentleman who's helping with this is sitting right here, Jack Lee. Jack, would you mind standing up? Okay. Now, this young man is very renowned in understanding this concept. His family is associated with Chinese medicine, and I'm very lucky to have him right now. He's a great man, very kind, and he's very spiritual. And more importantly, he knows what he's doing. So we are going into these systems, and we're beginning to evaluate them. So we get a readout of 12 systems. And one of the 12 is spleen. Spleen. What I'm seeing is that when I'm dealing with serious issues, so far I've had about 6 serious problems coming through the office this past week. Out of the 6, 5 of them were serious, needing just more than just taking supplements. We're dealing with very important issues. 1 was about allergies. Okay? But the other 5 were dealing with serious issues, and that involved drainage and detoxification. So what this is trying to tell us is that we have built inside of us a very simple system that will help us achieve whatever we want. It's based on energy, that we have control over it with our mind, with our heart, with our belief systems, by allowing these things to change, and then we have to deal with the physical ramifications of how we've been living our life over all these years. If we do both, then we start making progress. Now, let's go a step further. I've been dealing with a lot of very serious cases involving cancer recently. Now, I don't treat cancer. I want everyone to know that. I don't treat cancer. If the people get well from balancing their body and doing things to help them, so be it. I want everyone to hear that on there. So I don't treat cancer. However, when you start looking at cancer, it seems like everyone who's coming through, each person has their own ideas from their spirit as to how to help them. Now that's maddening. That's very difficult, extremely difficult. So just last night, by using this concept of using this idea about purging their brain and heart, going back into the spleen and the pancreas too, mostly spleen, from there it looks like I can develop a theory that may work with every person who has cancer, that there may be very, very similar ways of treating it. So you don't have to start from scratch each time using these techniques and methods. Now, 3 weeks ago when I was told to switch over to this type of technique, measuring this way, versus the old ways of what I was doing, I didn't understand. But when my spirit tells me to do something, guess what? I'm going to do it. And whatever it tells me to do that's number one, guess what? I'm going to do number one. Because number two is always number two, and number three is even worse. Okay? So when it tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. Now, I may not know why sometimes. I may not even be in agreement with it. But so far, for me, it's always been correct. So when it told me to go into the system and really begin to understand this and really take measurements, I'm already beginning to see that maybe we can bring all of medicine together with one simple idea, and maybe we can start treating things and helping people a lot more simply. That's very possible. Where before it was more of a patchwork type thing, which took a lot of time and a lot of effort on my part. Now, by measuring these areas, I can get up to about 70%. Now, about 70% of all the items that I was doing before, and I can do it immediately. So that other 20 or 30% will allow me to play and be creative. I don't have to start from scratch each time. Okay? So, Jack is going to be doing these measurements, and he has the equipment next door. And so if you want to see him do this work or talk to him about it, please, we're going to do this, okay? Talk to him about it. But then I want to go to an idea tonight, because this occurred to me last night. That's why I never give you a syllabus. Things are always changing. You might as well forget it. Okay? Plus, it would be boring if I gave you a syllabus, right? So, last night, I was thinking about this. Those of you who let this program run last week using Spirit, I hope this week, whatever you consider to be the Trinity, give the Trinity permission to work. I would also ask you to write a very specific statement as to how you would allow the Trinity to release itself, and include angels in there also and any other angelical beings. Now, when we talk about a statement, what am I talking about? For those of you who know me, and we've done this work before, when I say a statement, what does it mean to you? Karen?
It's a very clear and very carefully worded statement of exactly what you want.
Okay. So if I were going to do that for this, and you were going to write a statement for yourself, now you don't have to go into the details of what you want, but how would you get started with that statement? She's very good at giving statements.
So this is for making the movement.
Making the movement across.
Is this the permission statement?
Permission statement.
I'd say, I give the Father, Son, and my Spirit complete, and angels, and any and all other entities that want to help me to move my spirit through into my brain or heart. I can reword that, but I'd be really clear because every word counts when you make a statement.
Okay, so let's make it clear.
Okay.
You give just one statement. Not only those and the other things, just give a statement. Come on, you can do it. Why don't you stand? Why don't you stand so everyone can hear? No, will this help? Does it help?
Putting you on the spot.
Come on, stand. Come on, stand.
You didn't get to prepare this.
Okay, so I give permission to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit,
Okay.
and all the angels, and all other entities that are here to help me move my spirit into my brain and heart.
Good, very good. Let's give our hand to her. Thank you. And what I would add to that is, very specific things that you may want. Do you want help by making a certain amount of money, or a certain level of health, or to achieve a certain idea in business? I don't care what you want. You have permission, and can give permission, to let these entities help you, and you can expect them to do so. Okay? And as long as you know it's from your spirit, you're allowed to have whatever it is that you ask for. In fact, you should expect that. Okay? It's amazing how little we think we deserve. It's amazing how little we think we deserve. One of the people that I know is starting a business. She asked me if it would be smart for her to charge $10 for a certain product that she was making. And I said, well, let's test it from your spirit. Her spirit said $50. $50. Her brain and heart, we're dealing with $10. That's how brain and heart will keep you back. Her spirit said $50. Big difference. Okay? And it always goes that way. Always. Okay. So is it clear about making a statement? Clear? Okay? And ask, give permission for what you really want. Okay? Now, I'm going to do something tonight so we can test each other and see how we're making progress. Desiree, can I have you please? This lady is exceptionally talented with a full range of emotions that's extraordinary. So it's very easy to test. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
So remember we did about testing last night, or last week, right? So let's go back through that. And tonight also we're going to show some other forms of testing, muscle testing. Okay, but let's start with this one first. So how about if we just come out just a little bit this way, just a little bit this way. Okay, so we bring the arm out, just like this. We start with an intact muscle, of course, a strong muscle. I ask for permission. May I test you?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, I stay off the joints, so I'm in the middle somewhere. I ask her to think about her full name. So I ask her to think of her name like I am. She finishes her full name. She says that silently to herself. Bring the arm down just like that. So it's not up like this or down like that. It's just even 90 degrees. Okay, so think of your full name. Okay, keep going. Keep going, good. Okay, resist me now, resist. And tell them to resist. Good, and we're just feeling strength. I'm pushing just a little bit of force. There's not much give at all to that shoulder. Now, I ask her to think of her full name. I'm going to interrupt her energetic fields. So I'm going to have her think of her full name. I'm going to touch right there, interrupt the fields, think of her full name, and then I just push with a little bit of force, and it's very weak. I think you can see the difference. Okay, good. Okay, you can drop the arm. Now, go back to an issue that's always bothered you. Some type of emotion, some type of situation. I don't care what it is, because did you give yourself permission to let spirit go across and through these areas?
I did, definitely.
Good.
I did.
Very good. Very good. So, thank you. Yeah. There's a seat right up here. Okay. So let's go back to any issue that's bothered you in the past. And make it strong, whatever what it would be from the past.
Okay.
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 Ready? Okay, do you see it?
Almost. Hold on, let me get the full emotion since I'm emotional.
I'm enjoying this because you can sense our energy going through our body.
It keeps getting stuck right here.
But it's pretty strong through the center of the body, so.
Okay.
Okay, shall we?
Yes, I'm ready.
Ready?
Okay.
Okay. So let's see if this is one of the issues that was cleared by using this technique. Okay, you ready? Okay, so think of that issue. Resist me now. Resist. Resist. Okay, not clear. Okay. All right, so it looks like we have more work to do.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm curious. That was the energetic part. Let's also check the physical part. The physical part goes back into her spleen. Okay, spleen and pancreas area. So what we're going to do is, we're just going to keep it simple. We're just going to use the flat of our hand. We're going to come right across here, over on the left side. Okay? And let's bring that across right through there, right there, okay? So, think of that same issue now. Okay, ready? Okay, resist me now. Resist. Much stronger. Can you feel the difference? Okay. Now, her muscle was weak before she touched that area. Now she touches that area. This is called two-pointing in muscle testing. So that's telling me that there's an issue going on in the spleen and pancreas, just like we said. That was one of the areas of the body that needs to be detoxified, or somehow supported to make it stronger to help her eliminate these issues. Okay? So let's do it one more time. Okay, you ready? Okay. Resist me now. Resist. Resist. Strong. So when a weak muscle goes strong, that's telling you that there's still an issue that has not been cleared. Okay? There's still something that's going on. Now let me just drop this arm down. Behind her, I have a number of different products. Now, I want you to experiment with this a little bit. And we want to find a product here that's going to make that arm go, when she has this hand here and this arm out, I want a product that she's holding that will make this extremely strong. Almost no give. So let's do a little testing right now. Spirit's telling me about this one and this one. Okay. Okay, now you can experiment a little bit. You can just let our spirit tell you. But let's just try. Okay? So, shall we? Okay. So let's go back. Let's put that right there. Let's put that there. Okay, so go back to that issue. Okay. Okay. Keep going. Let's drop the arm for just a moment. Go back to the issue. Keep going. Down. There we go. Good. Okay, you ready? Resist me now. Resist. Okay. Resist me again. I think you can see a difference. Much stronger. How are you feeling? Okay, and let's try both of these. Have both of them. Let's put them both together. Okay, ready? Same issue. Okay, let's bring your arm down just a little bit. That's good, just like that. Okay, ready? Okay, let it go through. There. Resist me now. Resist. Even stronger. Okay, resist me now. Okay, pretty strong.
Yeah, I wasn't seeing green at all.
Right.
I could feel that.
And may I take those, and let's just try something else. Let's go with, say, this one, just for a moment. Okay, something completely different. Let's put it right there. Okay. Okay, same thought, same issue. Okay. Ready? Resist me now. Very weak. Let's do it again. Resist me again.
Okay.
I'm not even pushing him hard.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very weak. So there are specific energies, not chemistry we're talking about. This is not about chemistry. This is energy. There are specific energies that will complement her, that will help heal her physically, that will help heal this area. So whatever these issues are that she's thinking about, she probably started the process working through here energetically, but remember we said every issue has two components. It has an energetic component, and it has a physical component that needs to be dealt with. Okay. So we probably started the process like taking a Band-Aid off a wound that hasn't been healed. Now we're going to let the wound heal by supporting it physically, whatever these issues are. So if we were to test her probably next week, if she were to take these, I guarantee you when I test her, I'm going to get a different result. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Let's give her a hand.
So what if there's somebody that doesn't have a spleen any longer? Say they were in an accident and they lost their spleen, or removed.
Well, it's a very good question. It's a very good question.
The energetic thing.
That's the answer. That's the answer. I get a lot of people coming through without gallbladder, and yet energetically, their body will tell me that there's still something there, and the body will also begin to create a pseudo-organ in those areas in a lot of cases. That will take over, in some cases, even some of the functioning. That is possible, and I have that happen several times for people that have come through. So it's a very good answer, very good question. Anyone else?
You said the pancreas too, does it take care of both of those?
Pancreas can come in too. If I were testing, if none of these would support spleen, then I would definitely go to the pancreas and test that too. Spleen and pancreas, they deal with worry. They deal with obsession. They deal with blood issues, immune system problems, that type of thing. So they can overlap, but in this case, most of the time it's spleen. Okay, that you'll find. Anyone else?
I was just thinking that the spleen has to do with thinking constantly, and is the generator of the thought forms or the patterns you have. So that's why you have to always fix that and get to the other issues after.
Would you mind standing and saying that again, because that's a very important statement.
Okay, it's very important. It makes a lot of sense to deal with the spleen or pancreas, because the spleen and pancreas is in Chinese medicine is related to constantly the thought forms that you create and all the energetic patterns and thought forms that you're constantly creating that are relating, that are putting you into having a negative impact in your life. So that as you run those programs, like he's saying, it weakens the organ and it causes all kinds of problems. So you have to always deal with that.
Very good. Thank you. That's right. Thank you. And since we're talking about that, the spleen also takes the energy from the substances, food, water, whatever it is, and creates the life force in the body. Creates the blood, the immune system. Okay? And also, as you said, dealing with these obsessive thoughts in our thinking process is extremely important. I was shocked when all this information came up and I went back to verify it, how accurate our spirit is giving us information if we're willing to listen to it. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, this is where we are tonight. And what I would suggest is that you pick a partner. Oh, before we do that, Sharon, forgive me on this. Sharon is a dowser. Are you familiar with dowsing? Good, very good. For those of you who are not shaking your head up and down, do you know what a dowser does? Very good. Sharon happens to be a very good dowser. So, why don't you give them a demonstration?
Gold.
So Gary asked me to show you what a dowsing tool is and what I do with it. And I'm happy to share that with this group.
Sure.
I've been dowsing for over 10 years, and this is what the tool looks like. And the way I use it is basically the way you use a pendulum or muscle testing. I communicate with spirit and get yes and no answers. And so you hold it, and the energy goes through like we've been practicing on. I'm not moving consciously at all. And this is what I programmed to mean idle. I'm just standing here. And if I ask questions, well, what I do is, like Karen discussed with her leaning, first clear yourself, calm yourself, and then ground yourself. And then first thing I do, I get in idle, and I say, do I have a clear and open communications channel? Now my yes is a circle. And then I say, do I have permission to use this tool? And then I start asking my questions. Well, first I ask if I have the energy to douse, and then I ask if I have the protection to douse. And then I start asking my yes or no questions. And if the answer is yes, I give a yes. And if now I'm making it go. If it's no, this is my no that I've programmed in here. And so that's how I use my tool. But to go a little further, Gary uses the word statements. We use the word, or I have in the past, used the word commands. So once you get your answers, and let's say there's something going on with my spleen, I have a very structured set of command wording that I've been using all this time. And first of all, I might ask if there's pathogens involved or bacteria or whatever. Or I might just go generic and say the most appropriate healing, most appropriate frequencies for the greatest healing in my spleen. And then I would say go now. And then it'll just start spinning. And I'm making it do it now. And the spinning will be faster or bigger depending on the amount of energy that's being expended to work what you've asked for. And when it's done, it kind of stops, and I don't know if that means it's completely done or it's done all it can do safely without too much detoxing and draining. But also I ask for, in a time frame that's best for me, without safe, and every time I meet somebody or learn something new, I add words and change it and move it around. But you can cause yourself all these over-toxic feelings by saying these commands, and I have done that before. So that's how I use it.
Okay. Could you possibly maybe show some of the people, if they want to, like have you do a demonstration, like with what we're doing, like check one of the products there or something like that for someone when we break up in groups? Good. So you'd be able to show them then? Oh, good. Good. And I believe also there are different forms of dowsing equipment too.
This is the only one I'm familiar with. Well, of course, everybody knows the rods, but this is the only one I'm really familiar with that I've been using.
Good. But now I actually didn't see this one before I met Sharon, so you learn something new all the time. But these are very good techniques to get you going into these questions about answering yes and no's. And what brought you to dowsing? I'm curious.
It was a long path.
Okay.
I had a ruptured appendix, and at the time I knew a naturopathic doctor. So after I got out of the hospital, she helped me try to heal and cleanse and work with liver and everything else. And we were on a path for over 1.5 years, and I was not better. And she was finding parasites, which we believe released during the ruptured appendix. And I'd get better, but not really better, and she didn't really give up, but she says, we're just not doing it. So she sent me to a person that had a Rife machine. And, oh, we can make you better. Okay, well, how do I know what frequencies to tune my Rife machine to? Well, there's a man who can tell you over the telephone. And so I met this man over the telephone, and he explained to me verbally this, of which I'd never heard of before. And he was working through the body systematically, much like somebody I know, finding imbalances and energy imbalances. And he was giving me a little demo. I was on the phone 3 hours that night. Luckily, Larry was on the phone too. So he has discovered or uncovered some things that nobody could have ever known. And then he did commands, which is like a statement. And he did it with his dowsing tool, and you watch it resolve with the dowsing tool. The one that he started with was, he said, I had something in my breast. And I thought, yeah, right, I just had a mammogram 2 days ago. There's nothing there. And he says, well, do I have your permission to say a command? And I said, if you want to command God, go for it. I'm not doing it. So he did, and I immediately felt heat and just release. And I went, oh, really? And he did 3 other things on that phone call. He came up with a date back in 1980 of where I got a certain, I don't know if it was a bacteria or an injury or something, but on that real date, I was in South America, which I probably could have been doing something. He just picked that out. Well, then he starts working on Larry, and I was the one that had parasites, but he was finding them in him, and he said a command for Larry. We're on these different extensions, and we're meeting in the hallway going, what is this? So I worked with him over the phone a couple times. It was pay what you feel I'm worth. And I'm like, I got to have way more of this than that. Can I do this? He, oh, sure you can. So I taught myself, actually from an article on the internet of how to program a pendulum. And I transposed it to this. And we were learning all these commands, and he was evolving. And we started doing, we did workshops, 3-day weekend workshops.
Okay.
And Norma and I went, and we've been doing that, and he hasn't been available for about, 6-8 years. He left the country. So I've been looking for a home, but when I was doing all this dowsing, that's how I got there.
Yeah.
And I got quite well and improved from all that. So we do maintenance commands to keep yourself energetically well every morning and things like that. I wasn't being very faithful about doing it every day. And I had a little checklist that I would just ask yes, no, should I see a dentist, do I need to go to the eye doctor, because I wouldn't go to any of these things, but I kept just asking and checking. Well, then one day at a health fair in Addison, there was a booth and there was a man there. And I went to the only person I talked to the whole day at the health fair. And I took away Dr. Berman's name and I added it to my little list. And whenever I asked through my list, should I go see him? No, no, no. And 3 years later, it said, go to him. So I did, and he said, why are you here? Thinking I've got something major. I said, because I was told to.
I understand that. So both of you ladies are self-taught? Both self-taught?
Well, we were both working. Sharon dowsed about a year before I began dowsing. But she and I have been on a health issue kind of parallel paths. We've known each other about 35 years, and we worked together, met each other at work. And I met Larry in college and worked together too. But our paths have been strangely crossing over the years, and I believe that this is where we were meant to go. And I would say for about that year, Sharon, I wasn't doubting, but we were together, working on me a lot, because I had issues, and we worked on other people.
Experimenting just to see what we could do.
I was very ill, and Sharon worked on me a lot. And then the first time I went to this man, our teacher, you know, I mean, we're technical people. We don't go in for this stuff.
These two ladies definitely don't go in for this.
We don't tell our engineering friends what we do on the
It's not a belief system. You're an instrument of spirit. You're a tool being used to implement a healing. And I tried to explain to my mother, who does prayer groups. And I said, well, think of a prayer as holding a light bulb out in space, and the light is going and the heat is going, but when somebody called to be an instrument is doing healing, think of it like a directed light, a little laser that's being shown in a particular place with a particular purpose.
Right.
And sometimes the results are very dramatic. And the anecdotal history that I've accumulated over the last 10 years on myself, on my family, people I've seen around me, is just, it's mind-boggling. And the definite takeaway is to keep an open mind on everything.
Do either of you know Tom and Wanda Sweat? Have you ever heard those names? Okay. Sharon, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
The reason why I wanted her to show you this information is because dowsing is very powerful. When I graduated from chiropractic school, two of my patients that I had in chiropractic school were Tom and Wanda Sweat. They were considered two of the finest dowsers in the world. They were my patients. I lived with them afterwards. They were an older couple for 2 years. And during that time, these people were multi-millionaires. And they became multi-millionaires by dowsing over maps. And they would find gold, oil. They found all the water wells in Colleyville. All the water wells were found by Tom and Wanda Sweat. And he gets a call. He gets a call one night because one of his friends in West Texas needs to find water. So we're driving out there. All three of us are driving out there, and all the way that we're going, they're using their dowsing rods. They're doing the things as they're driving. And as they're driving, they're telling me, I'm sitting in the back going, oh, there's water over here, there's gold over there, there's oil here, as we're driving along the highway. Okay? I like people like this. Now, this is very powerful. It's very powerful. Now, also, the technique that Karen was doing about, would you show that technique once more? Just once more. Come on.
LaRue taught it to me.
LaRue should teach it. Now, this is the first time I've met LaRue, but I've heard great things about her. She's a healer here in town, and she does extraordinary things, so I'm glad you're here tonight.
Well, nice to meet you.
Would you mind showing them what you do?
I'd love to.
Excuse me.
When I'm working with clients, sometimes I work by phone, I also test myself, using my arm, but when I teach people how to do it, to just ground it into their body,
you want to do it with me?
Yes.
Let me demonstrate it and then we can do it together. Is I have them use their whole body as a pendulum. So you, like with the what do you call your thing, a dowsing rod? You program your body and you tell it to move forward for a yes. And then you take your attention off of it and breathe, because it's God's job to move your body, not your job to do it, right? So just take a breath. And it'll move forward when it's ready. So it's gone forward for a yes, okay? And then you just return to your natural position, and then you'll tell it to move backwards for a no. You just take a breath and just breathe. And you'll move backwards when it's ready. So you want to do it with me? So everyone stand. Take a breath. Just center yourself. And tell your body to move forward for a yes. Just program it to move forward for a yes. And then just breathe. Let your mind get out of the way so the mind's not interfering. Yeah, everybody's moving forward. Right. Okay, and then just reset your body, just stand in a natural position. And now tell your body to move backwards for a no. And then focus on your breath. So you can just ask yes or no's using your body like that. You can go to the grocery store, and buy your groceries that way. What is the healthy fruit for me to eat? You can pick it up. You know how one of the gals held the supplements earlier and Gary tested. You can pick up the fruit and your body, if it moves forward, that's a healthy piece of fruit for you. Or if it moves backward, put it back down and keep on moving. Okay, thank you. Yeah, is that fun?